What's going on, everyone? My name's Eric, and today on the channel we're going to be doing a deep dive and a bit of like a restoration, or at least getting this guitar back to playing state. This is my 1998 Washburn USA D3 Dimebolt, and if you haven't seen the unboxing, make sure you go check that out. But oh man, I have wanted one of these guitars for a very long time. And as you guys know, like, I'm a big like Dimebag Pantera fan, and ever since, I got into the band and like obviously was watching like the home videos and all the live bootlegs and like just seeing like the Washburn line of guitars, it was like, man, I think I just need to get one of these. And obviously many years later, I finally came full circle and have made my younger self and my adult self extremely happy. But the thing is with this guitar here is that this one has a couple issues that we need to dial out. I'm gonna adjust the neck on the guitar because there is a good amount of neck bow on this guitar. This guitar from the factory did not come with the Seymour Duncan Dimebucker that is in it right now. So I'm gonna change that out. I have a very special pickup that I'm gonna throw in this particular guitar that I think is gonna look really good and probably sound amazing as well. And last but not least, we're gonna be talking about one big issue that all of these Washburn D3s, or like the USA Washburn Dimebag guitars, all came with when they were brand new. And in case you don't know, like, these guitars still show up with issues because, well, they are 20 years out of production. They're basically collector's items, and yeah, you kind of draw like some weird line in the sand of like, should I fix it or should I leave it because this is a collector's guitar? So we're going to talk about all of that in today's video, and as well as hear this guitar because, man, these things are just so sick. So yeah, let's get this on the bench and let's bring it back to life. All right, so here we have the Dimebolt just plugged in straight into an amp here, and like the electronics work. Like, those all check out. Now this is on a clean channel though, but when you add some distortion, and obviously this guitar is kind of built for metal and, playing with distortion, that's where the issues come up. So I'm going to show you right now. Now I'm going to take my hand off the strings. And like, you can hear there's like some grounding stuff going on there. Now I'm going to roll the bridge volume pot all the way down. There's a hum. That shouldn't be happening. There should be no signal coming through because the volume is off. And there's this. That guitar is wired incorrectly. Now watch this. Go to the neck pickup. Volume all the way down. Technically the whole guitar is off, but then there is actually a ground hum coming from somewhere in this guitar here. This is how all these guitars come from the factory. They just have a giant grounding issue. Yeah, and for what these guitars are selling for right now, it might be tough for some people to spend the money that these things are kind of commanding, and you have this that you just have to deal with. And I've been talking to Tommy, who plays guitar in Blondie, and Grady Champion, like Dimebag's guitar tech, is Tommy's guitar tech. And from what Grady told Tommy, who then told me, is that every guitar that came from Washburn to Dimebag basically had electronic issues like right from the factory. So obviously you can fix that with just like throwing a noise gate into your signal chain. Then of course all of your issues related to noise and ground issues, they're going to be fixed. And that's cool, and that's what Dimebag and Grady did for the most part. I do want to say Grady also modified a lot of Dimebag's guitars to actually get rid of like this noise and actually have the guitar totally silent when you are not playing the guitar, like especially when the volume knobs are down. Because that's how a guitar should come from the factory. And I don't know really what happened with these guitars and like how they got wired up incorrectly, because this schematic here, 2 volumes, 1 tone, and 2 humbuckers with like nothing else going on, very simple. So not too sure. It seems like maybe there's some extra wires that are missing from the circuit for some reason. And now what some people might be thinking is like, well, Eric, why don't you just go and add a couple ground wires? The thing is, Grady did that, and that involved him actually drilling into the guitar. I'm not doing that. This is a collector's piece, and pretty well every Dimebag guitar on earth right now is more or less a collector's piece, and especially a lot of these like USA Washburns, like these are collector's guitars, and I'm not going to go and start drilling into like these kinds of guitars here, just to get them playable. Like, I'm just going to throw a noise gate on and call it a day, you know what I mean? Like, this is a very special piece of gear, and the last thing that I would want to do is actually kind of ruin the value, even though like this guitar is probably never going to leave the collection, but like, you never know, right? Like, the last thing like a potential new buyer wants to walk into is like, oh, I actually hacked away at parts of the guitar just to kind of make it work. Like, that's not original at the end of the day. And sure, this guitar doesn't have the original bridge pickup, whatever happened to it, but at the end of the day, I'm not cosmetically and like physically altering like the whole characteristics of the guitar. A pickup is real easy to change, but like once you start getting into drilling and like adding extra wires and things like that, and like talking about like a guitar like this, like that's just something that we stay away from. That's just not what we're gonna do here. So if you are looking to buy a Washburn USA dime guitar, like a good chunk of them, if not pretty well all of them, like just don't come wired correctly from the factory. So keep that in mind. And if that is a big make or break for you, like unfortunately that's just how it is. But if you do want these guitars and you do want to get one of these guitars, like this is just how they come. So you just might have to deal with it. Okay, here we have the 98 Washburn D3 Dimebolt all on the bench here. Once again, all original outside of that Dimebucker, and this is in actually really great shape. And yeah, there's the Dimebucker. There's a little bit of finish scratching on like the clear coat here, but like there's no like dents or anything in the body or in the horns, which is like really great cut of mahogany there, like just insane. Something that's interesting about these Washburn D3 guitars is that the actual clear coat on this guitar, like you can see kind of right here, it's starting to crack a little bit, and there are a couple other clear coat cracks on this guitar as well. That is totally normal. I've been talking with Mike Sherman for a little while, and he actually ran the Washburn custom shop when Dime first started out with Washburn, and he said they would crack. And it's totally normal for a guitar this big, you know, from the 90s to have the clear coat kind of crack on it. It's just kind of the nature of the beast. As you can see here, the neck is bowed just a little bit, ever so slightly, so I will correct that and oil the fingerboard. The frets look like they are in really great shape as well, and I know there was a lot of people in the comments just saying like, wow, I can't believe how great this guitar is. Like the owner that I got this guitar from really kept it in great shape. Like the frets look really good, fretboard looks good, like there's no dents or anything in the frets. The wood is looking really good on this guitar here. String tree up here, truss rod cover back here. We're gonna take that off and just adjust the neck right in there. Chrome logo, and I don't know, like the chrome logo just looks so killer on these guitars here, especially these bolts here. And I know Chewy and Grady have said, you know, the chrome logo was kind of like whatever, like they just kind of used whatever was lying around. But I don't know, like there's not a lot of these Washburn dime guitars that have the chrome logo, and just kind of looks a little extra special, you know, especially the way light hits. It looks real good. Yeah, real amazing instrument here. The big neck volute on the back, V-shaped neck on this as well. Real killer guitar. So yeah, we're gonna take the Dimebucker out, oil the fingerboard, clean this whole guitar. Another thing as well, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna oil up this Floyd Rose here and make sure all the moving parts are working. I have a video that breaks down, you know, extra Floyd Rose maintenance, as well as another video that goes over how to actually set up a Floyd Rose on your guitar as well. And same thing with changing out pickups. You know, I got videos on my channel as well that will go over like how to actually install and remove pickups and how to solder and all that. That is all on my channel. And obviously we're gonna restring this with strings from today's sponsor, the String Source. If you are unfamiliar with the String Source, I've been using their strings for quite some time, and they're not just a sponsor, I truly love their strings. And yeah, literally, you know, my guitars sound amazing and, you know, feels amazing to play. Really hard to go wrong with strings that are just balanced so well from the factory. And if you want to learn more about String Source guitar strings, link in the description, discount code down there as well, MRTN TSS, a little bit of a deal on your guitar strings with the String Source. With all that being said, I'm going to do a dive on this guitar, and you're going to see on screen the whole process of bringing this guitar back to life. And then we're going to talk about the big issue on these Washburn USA dime guitars. Here we go. All right, now something that I want to highlight with these USA like Washburn dime bay guitars is that there is a lot of attention to detail on these guitars, despite them having like obviously like their kind of hiccups here and there, especially like with the finish cracks in the gloss and things like that. All of these USA guitars should have the actual metal anodized back plates here. A lot of the fake Washburn D3s will actually have like plastic ones, just kind of like the regular import Washburn 333s or just regular import guitars. You're also going to have the giant neck volute as well, which actually looks like a diamond. You're going to see that on screen right now. That is actually not as pronounced as you might think. It's actually pretty flat. Even my 99 Slime actually has a pretty flat diamond volute like that. We have the good V-shaped neck as well. It also butts up with the headstock in a scarf joint configuration. So that is actually to help strengthen the neck as well. And again, these are some other key characteristics to actually help you spot a potential fake, because again, these guitars are rare and there's a lot of other companies that are trying to make fakes of these, maybe to kind of scam some people. So there's a little bit of buyer beware when you are looking for some of these guitars, and there are some key moments that you really need to look out for when you are buying a Washburn D3, ST3 Pro, any sort of USA Washburn dime bay guitar. Real high quality back plates on here. There's the cavity off. Again, you can see a little bit of like finish cracking on the inside there. It's just, it is what it is. And again, these are collector's guitars, and it's just like they're older guitars. It's kind of bound to happen. It's kind of like owning a older muscle car from like the 60s or the 70s or something like that. Like, they're gonna come with some flaws. They're not perfect, but people love them, and people love these USA Washburn Dimebag guitars, and yeah, like rightfully so. These things are super sick despite them having some flaws, and that, honestly, at the end of the day, nothing's perfect in life, so if you can live with a few of these issues, it is all good. I think you're going to be a very happy guitarist once you find one of these guitars here. And look at that, we have an actual copper shielded, like actual electronics cavity in here. This is a real key feature on these USA Washburn guitars as well. And again, if you do spot a USA Washburn Dimebag guitar, and if it doesn't have any like this gold like shielding or like copper shielding in here, it might be a fake unless the owner of the guitar actually changed it out for whatever reason or anything like that. But keep that in mind because potentially you might be buying a fake if your Washburn D3 actually does not have all of this copper shielding in here as well. Another thing as well, these Washburn D3 guitars actually didn't come with like this standard like Gibson style three-way toggle switch. They came with a different style toggle switch that kind of looks like has the bottom part of like a mini toggle. So there's a couple like actual different solder points on it. I'll try and get a picture of it, but this has been replaced. So again, that's totally normal. We got a little bit more copper shielding under there as well, just to help kind of keep the noise down on the guitar, which is kind of ironic because that's kind of this guitar's downfall. These are some key moments to actually help you decipher if your guitar that you're trying to buy is a legit guitar. Again, these are collector's item guitars and they do command a pretty good price. But yeah, the last thing I want to see is someone save up all their hard-earned money and they end up buying a fake. So here's some key takeaways to look for in your USA Washburn Dimebag guitar if you're trying to buy one. All right, we're gonna take that Dimebucker out and we're gonna put in this pickup here. This is an extremely rare Bill Lawrence OBL XL 500 chrome housing gray wire. So the gray wire pickups are the same pickups that Dimebag would have used all throughout his career in Pantera. And these chrome housing Bill Lawrence pickups just like they never show up. I got real lucky. I found this one semi-local for like really cheap, so I had to jump on it and it works, it checks out. I think with all like the matching like chrome decals on this guitar and like the lightning bolt, I think this pickup is just gonna pop so hard in this guitar here. But yeah, if you don't have a Bill Lawrence pickup, like there's other substitutes as well. You know, you can still get some Bill Lawrence pickups like pretty new through Bill Lawrence or through Wild pickups themselves, and those are all the same deal. But yeah, these vintage Bill Lawrence pickups, they're just so sick. Yeah, I can't wait to actually hear this pickup in this guitar here. So yeah, I'm gonna take the Dimebucker out. You're gonna see some highlights on screen of removing the Dimebucker and putting the Bill Lawrence in. If you wanna see a full tutorial of how to actually solder and how to remove pickups and everything like that, I got videos on my channel, so go ahead and check that out. But otherwise, I will see you for the next part of this video. Another thing that's interesting about these American Dimebag Washburn guitars is that bridge pickup goes through there, right in through that cavity where the neck pickup lead wire is going, then all to the toggle switch. So it's not like most guitars where everything would just kind of shoot to the electronics then to the toggle switch. Yeah, interesting design on these guitars here. Alrighty, we got the chrome housing OBL XL500 in the bridge of the Dimebolt, and if you're gonna do this, there's like a ton of monkeying around you gotta do to get one of these Bill Lawrence pickups in here. The actual like pickup cavity that this guitar is routed for is pretty tiny, and I think if people are looking to actually replace the Bill Lawrence pickups, like if they fail or something like that on these guitars, they go to the Dimebucker because they're actually smaller than the Bill Lawrence pickup, and they honestly just sit in the housing just a little bit easier than they kind of would. So what I want to do is just give you an idea of the pickup sizes. So right here we have a regular, you know, just a regular humbucker here, and you could just see the actual size of that. Right in the middle here we have a Dimebucker. Okay, the Dimebucker is a little bit bigger than your standard humbucker in terms of height. Then we have a Bill Lawrence. That is a big difference, and the actual housing, way easier just to get a tinier pickup like one of these two in there, and to actually fit a Bill Lawrence humbucker in the bridge position of one of these old Washburns, like you kind of have to have the pickup lead and more or less the pickup just kind of sitting on itself. And this is another interesting thing as well, is the Dimebucker actually has the pickup lead coming out of the center of the pickup, whereas the Bill Lawrence comes out of like the traditional side of where it would normally be on like a traditional humbucker. So especially what I showed earlier, like these Washburn Dimebolts, like they have the pickup routing going all the way up to the toggle switch, and the bridge pickup wire goes from here through here to the neck cavity and up to the toggle switch. So obviously they kind of mediate that issue by like just putting the bridge pickup wire right in the center, because you can actually sit the pickup way lower and just get your pickup lower and get the action lower on the guitar and everything like that. The Bill Lawrence, you basically have to put the bridge pickup wire under the entire pickup, and the pickup basically just sits on it, and you kind of run into a little bit of issues with the bridge pickup kind of sitting not super like low and things like that, and you might run the risk of like actually getting your action not as low as you'd like it to. Maybe the strings hitting the pickup magnets when you're trying to pull up on the bar and things like that. So there's a ton of monkeying around that you have to do to actually get one of these Bill Lawrence pickups in the Washburn Dimebag guitars, but it's totally worth it when you get it in. But yeah, if you want to save yourself a headache, you could probably just throw a Dimebucker in. I'm honestly not sure if these Bill Lawrence pickups come in any different sizes. It seems like it's kind of is what it is, but yeah, I definitely get why a lot of players are going with the Dimebucker, just because it's way easier to work with on these guitars. And here we have my 1998 USA Washburn D3 Dimebolt all finished up here. Let's get a couple close-up of that. Look at that chrome logo, just look at that, just so good. Look at that nice cut of rosewood on the fingerboard there, and just that iconic bolt graphic. And looking at the color of this thing, it has like a little bit of a hint of like maybe a bit of purple in the blue, but like, yeah, it's definitely not as blue as like the Dean from Hell, where that's like a very, very light blue. These are like much darker, and some of these were actually a brighter shade of blue if they had the flame top. And yeah, I don't know, this one is just, this is just so classic to me, in my opinion. You got the OBL right from the 80s in there, the chrome housing one too. Yeah, I don't know, I think that just kind of ties in with the chrome up there and just like the lightning bolt on here, like just so sick. We flipped the neck pickup as well because that was installed backwards by whoever installed the Seymour Duncan neck pickup here. And yeah, you do want the adjustable pole pieces closer to the neck or the bridge if it is a bridge pickup. But yeah, that's pretty much about it. A little bit of messing around just to get the Bill Lawrence pickup sitting properly in here. Yeah, you could see like even though the action is down quite a bit, you know, I wanted to make sure there was going to be room to actually pull up on the tremolo, you know, to make all those squeals happen, and that the strings weren't going to actually hit the pickup. And I think we're going to be pretty okay with that here. Action is real low. The neck bow has been fixed. And yeah, like as I might have mentioned earlier, like these guitars do have that big electronic issue, and I have no idea like how. I know I tried jumping like a bunch of ground on the guitar and trying to like connect the circuit using like jumpers, and there was like nothing really that was going on, and I think this guitar would probably need a full rewire. And as I said earlier, like I'm not about to do that because that is kind of messing with what was originally like supposed to be factory. This is different because this was actually a factory pickup that came with these guitars, the Bill Lawrence XL500s and the Seymour Duncan SH1 in the neck here, like that is factory as well. So like I'm trying to keep this thing as factory as possible, or as at least as close to factory as possible, you know, with all that being said. So I'm not going to go out and like start drilling holes into the guitar to add some ground wires or just rewiring the whole thing and things like that. Like that's just not what you do with something like this. This is okay, like putting a different pickup in, like if it has a Dimebucker, you go back to the Bill Lawrence, that's totally fine and everything like that. But like if you're talking about like cosmetics and everything like that, that's where it really gets iffy with these USA Dimebag guitars. If you're talking about refinishing the guitar, there's kind of only a handful of guys that you'd really want to send it to kind of keep the value, if you really want to like keep the value on this guitar. And speaking of the finish, like this does have a couple scratches and, you know, and some finish cracks like in the gloss and everything. Like they're not structural or anything, but that is normal, as I said earlier. And like even though this guitar like does have a lot of flaws, this thing is still sick. Like even just holding it in my hands, like it feels really good. This is not the heaviest guitar, it's not the lightest guitar either, but like this does feel really comfy. And even like that V-shaped neck, like that is the Dean Zielinski trademark, like, and it feels so great on this guitar too. Like I'm just so excited to play this because this is like one of the few actual D3s that I've really had the privilege to actually play and honestly just like kind of have over at my place, either for setups or honestly just to keep in the collection. And yeah, can't wait to really share this in more videos with you all going forward. So with all that being said, let's get to some specs on the D3. First things first, with the Washburn D3 and pretty well all of the USA Washburn Dimebag guitars here, we got a mahogany body here. This one also has a bit of a maple top. I mean, you could see a little bit with the binding there. This is a very thin layer of maple that is going to be on here. That came standard on the Blackjacks as well. And obviously with the bolts, and obviously if you couldn't tell, with the slime, with the actual flame maple top that came on a lot of those. There's a few other very rare Washburn Dimebag guitars that had the flame maple top as well, which I'll throw on screen. You're going to see the Southern Cross, you're going to see the Inferno. You might see a couple other ones as well. For the most part, I believe these are one-piece bodies. We got a three-piece mahogany neck with the V-shaped design as well. We We got the Diamond Volute here. Now this actually got bigger, at least post 2001, post 2002, I believe, right around the time when the Stealth came out. And then during that time, you would actually see like the Washburn Custom Shop logo on the back of the headstock with this Buzz Phaeton tuning logo right there. So depending on the year of your Washburn D3 or the 3ST, you might actually have the Washburn Custom Shop logo. And if yours doesn't have it, it actually just might be a 90s Washburn, or hopefully it's just not a fake and you've spent a good chunk of money on a fake. Moving up top on this guitar, we have a Schaller Washburn branded Floyd Rose, and yep, this is just a staple. And even though like these things like on the used market are going for maybe like $1,000. It's crazy seeing what a used Floyd Rose goes for, but this is the nature of the beast when you're walking into these kinds of guitars. Bill Lawrence XL500 in the bridge chrome housing, just to kind of tie in all like the bright white and the, you know, the chrome Washburn headstock logo together. 2 volumes, 1 tone, it's all connected. I know Dimebag would disconnect the tone knob on his guitars, or at least Grady would disconnect the tone knobs, but I'm just gonna leave it factory for now. Same with the Dimebag traction knobs. The Washburn USA guitars did not come with the Dimebag traction knobs, and those are really easy to make. But once again, if you are trying to keep this guitar as like original as possible, that's just something that you don't do on these guitars if you want to keep them as factory as possible. Moving up to the fingerboard, we have a rosewood fingerboard here. Really great cut of rosewood, just the highest quality grade of wood that Washburn was using in the 90s and the 2000s. Like, this was such a killer time for Washburn. We also have 22 nickel frets. They don't feel super tall. I feel like they're either standard or maybe just a little bit above standard, maybe jumbo frets. They do feel really good though. We got some dot inlays, which some people might think is kind of cheap, but I mean, this is just how a lot of these Dean guitars came initially. And again, this was a recreation of the Dean ML with a couple alterations. We'll talk about that in a different video, but yeah, this is what Dimebag had on his guitars, and you know, dot inlays worked for him. Moving up to the headstock, we have the Floyd Rose locking nut. We have the truss rod cover here. Depending on the year of your Washburn USA Dimebag guitar, some of them actually say Dime 3 on it, and my actual signed slime has the Dime 3 truss rod cover. I always thought that was super cool. Yeah, that chrome logo just, oh man, that hits so hard. Some of these bolts actually had like a white logo, same with the blackjack and some of the other ones. But yeah, once again, get a little bit of light on that and just pops on the blue. It just looks so good. We got black Grover tuners on this guitar as well at 18:1 ratio. They feel good. And that's kind of it. Like, it's basically a giant like Les Paul Explorer V, if you will, especially like with the guts being all mahogany. And yeah, this thing is just so sick. And you know, I'm very fortunate to have this guitar. I've always loved the D3 bolt designs and just how it looked on stage. Again, as I said earlier, like, no disrespect to the Dean from Hell, like without that lightning bolt design from Buddy Blaze, we probably wouldn't have this. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below if you like this bolt more or the actual original Dean from Hell. But yeah, it's a toss-up, but I don't know, this one popped a little bit harder. Yeah, I don't know. With all that being said, let's plug this guitar in and let's see how it sounds with a couple isolated guitar tones. going to do it for today's video on my new to me Washburn 1998 D3 Dimebolt. Like, I still remember seeing this guitar in like the print ad magazines from like the old 90s guitar worlds, and just like the home videos and all the bootleg Pantera live shows, and like, I can't believe I have this. I can't believe I'm seeing this in person. This is the only like D3 Bolt I've ever seen in person, and yeah, it's stupid how good this thing is. Despite its flaws, you know, with the electronics issue and maybe the pickup cavity maybe not being routed deep enough, and you know, some finish cracking here and there, and you know, for what these guitars are commanding right now in the used market, like, this is a really good guitar. As like a playing guitar, like sounding and feeling, like this thing is like incredible. It's stupid how good these guitars like sound and feel and play. And sure, if this was a different scenario where like these guitars maybe weren't going for the current prices that they're going for like on the used market, if this was just maybe like a regular old like vintage USA guitar, but I guess that kind of defeats the purpose because old vintage USA guitars are expensive anyways. If this guitar maybe was still kind of in production, and maybe if I was able to kind of like really get at the electronics and rewire them properly, and if I had to actually drill into the guitar and like do some extra, you know, like TLC to really get all the grounding and electronic issues like done with this guitar, I think this would be an insane player, especially if you want like this big old ML D3 shape. And again, two different shapes, we'll talk about that at a later video, but like, yeah, like the neck is just so comfy. I've gone on record many times and have just said like the V-shaped neck is just like so comfy, and like it's so resonant and like so vibrant too. So like when I'm playing this thing, like I can feel the notes like kind of like jumping and like musically, like sonically vibrating, all that stuff. Like there's just so much going on with this. Again, giant chunks of mahogany and maple top. I mean, it's kind of like a bit of a Les Paul, but it's dressed up as like a giant Explorer and a Flying V, and like, man, I don't know. This thing is super sick, and I really don't have anything negative to write home on. I mean, outside of the electronics and maybe like the pickup cavity, but we figured that out. It wasn't the end of the world. But yeah, if you're gonna buy these things, like, just be mindful of the price, be mindful of the electronics issues, and at the end of the day, these are kind of collector's items because you can't get these anymore like brand new. You're not going to walk into your local music store and just buy one brand new off the shelf and anything like that. So very privileged at the end of the day to have like one or two of these things, you know what I mean? Like, because they just don't pop up, and I am very grateful at the end of the day for the seller of this guitar who ended up selling me this guitar. So yeah, Barry, if you watch this, like, this is going to be put to some very good use, and once again, thank you so much for selling this beautiful, beautiful guitar to me. I am making my younger self very happy by welcoming this thing into the collection, and I am incredibly, incredibly happy to just have this thing here. So yeah, with all that being said, thanks for checking out today's video. If you like certain parts of this video, and if you have any sort of suggestions of what you want me to do with this Dimebolt here, let me know in the comments below. Would love to take your suggestions. If you like this video, obviously give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. I have tons more videos like this that go over all things Dimebag and like Pantera guitar related and all those fun things. And if you are a returning subscriber, make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single video that I upload. Thanks for checking this out, and I will see you next time.